My name is Kate Bacik. I'm a professional fighter. My next fight is scheduled to be on FightStar on the 19th of November.
So, welcome, first of all. You've not been with GB Top Team for very long. How long have you been with us for?
So I've been with GB Top Team probably for about 7-8 weeks now.
I suppose we'll go with the obvious question. What made you come over to GB Top Team?
So before coming here, I've trained with quite a lot of different gyms and teams, but something I've missed for quite a few years now is training with women. I never had decent sparring partners. I never sparred with women. I never trained with women, especially when it comes to MMA. With Jiu-Jitsu, yeah, I had plenty of women to go with. Striking, I've got some women I can spar with too, but with MMA, I never actually sparred women, so I would spar them when I fought them. So obviously I've seen...
Your first spar was like, right, we're going to fight.
Literally, and everything felt different when I do that, obviously, because being used to sparring like with guys that are like 80, 75, 80, 85 kilos is completely different than sparring women. Like when I was in the cage, I'd actually pick them up, physically pick them up and take them down, rather than just, try to grind through it. So it's a different game. And I've obviously seen there's a big female team in here.
Sure.
I've been following that for a while.
Biggest in the country, apparently.
I think so.
Yeah.
So, at some point, once I turn pro, it's like I've got to step up a gear. Obviously, the pro team here is quite big as well.
Sure.
It's a great facility, and it's, I kind of thought like, what's my next step? What do I need to do? And I had a few options, but most of them would be leaving London.
Yep.
So before I leave London, I was like, why won't I try this if it's like on my doorstep in South London? So I came here.
Wow. So I suppose, yeah, it's weird because obviously in Jiu-Jitsu, there are tons of female kind of practitioners. But yeah, I suppose MMA's, even in London, is still very few and far between having a team that has several females. So obviously when you first came here, how did that kind of translate? Was there anything that you kind of feel you've picked up?
I mean, obviously I'm not training just with women.
Sure,
There's plenty of guys like similar weight to mine, which is great also. But it was like the first few sessions, I literally managed to have all of my rounds with just women.
Sure.
I was like, what the fuck, man? That never happened before. Like, I can literally spend an hour and a half training just with women.
Yeah.
And it's, and there's enough of them to actually mix it up nicely, different ways, different skills, different styles. So it's really sick.
I suppose, do you get, obviously me not being a female, I wouldn't know this, but do you find still when you kind of spar and roll with males, do you still get people that will really try and smash and almost make an example? Do you feel that people are quite respectful in that?
I think people are usually quite respectful, but you always find this odd person or someone new or someone who's got ego issues or whatever. And as soon as you put it on them or they get hit a few times, they suddenly start hitting harder. And it's like, cool, we can step it up. Then you hit them harder and it carries on. But
I must admit, it is something that I quite enjoy watching is you do see some people that are really sensitive, they feel like they have to be really offish. And then when they get clocked a couple of times, they go, oh yeah, this is just sparring with someone who's trying to hurt me. So it's I suppose it's kind of interesting. So how long have you been fighting MMA for?
So MMA by itself, my first amateur fight, which wasn't really properly sanctioned, so I don't know if it counts or not. It was a bit of a...
Was it like a car park kind of thing?
Almost. It was when I lived in Cyprus, and it was the first female MMA fight in the history of the country. But it was kind of weird. The rounds were 2.5 minutes or something odd. It was just strange.
How weird.
Strange event, strange venue.
But you were first. You were the first.
That was 2018.
Okay, so you're talking four years, 5
and
years?
then I wanted to take a year out of fighting MMA and striking just to focus on my grappling, and then I couldn't find anyone to fight me in MMA or striking, so I just ended up doing grappling for 4 years before I actually managed to get a fight. So it's to be honest, it's only been ever since lockdown,
sure,
just 2020, that I've been doing MMA properly in actual MMA gym. So
obviously, obviously part of what we're doing is we're trying to kind of look into why people fight, and not the kind of because I want to beat people up, but is it What first got you into kind of combat sport in general? What first kind of tickled your interest in mixed martial arts?
Yeah, so there's a whole like long story to it, but
We got time.
I used to be quite a troublesome kid. Like
No.
I used to get into a lot of fights. Sometimes for fun, sometimes out of necessity.
Sure.
But I always enjoyed being in fights. Like whenever there was something kicking off, I'd be there in the middle of that for whatever reason. But it wasn't until I was like,
you didn't start the trouble, but you just helped finish it. Is that what it was?
trouble always finds me. I don't look for it. I swear. But it wasn't until I was 17 when one of my mates was like, "Oh, you should come to my Muay Thai club. Like, I think you'd like it." Blah blah blah. And then I started like getting into it properly. I had my first fight like 3 months in, and from then on it was kind of like, even when I had to stop fighting for like a couple of years because of health issues and stuff, it was still at the back of my head that like I'm a fighter. I went on to get like degrees and that, like uni, whatever bullshit I've done in my life. I was always in the back of my head, I was like, I actually just want to fight.
Yeah.
I don't want to do any of this other shit. I just want to fight. And then when I finished my second degree, I was like, right, I'm just gonna take a year out of everything, train full time, and see like how I like it. And that was like 7 years ago now.
And obviously you did like it because you're still doing it. You're still doing it now.
Surprise, surprise.
So you obviously got the fight coming up. The one I asked a couple of the other fighters this, and I'm gonna kind of carry on with yourself, because obviously when you see like the massive rivalries of like, you know, like DC and John Jones, or you got like Ronda Rousey and kind of Misha Tate, that kind of stuff, where there's real bad blood there. When you're an amateur, obviously, sometimes you can have people changed at like a week's notice. So it's like you barely know the person that you're kind of stepping into. How do you kind of get into that mindset of like, I want to kind of do this person harm, or I want to be able to beat this person in the cage?
Well, I don't have any issues. I just like violence. So if I get a chance to legally hurt someone with my friends watching too and getting paid for it, of course I'm gonna do it. And like, there's no bad blood because I don't know that person personally, and I don't know who they are. I didn't know they exist until I got matched.
Sure.
So it's like sometimes, you know, they try to make it into this like entire, you know, beef thing. Like, I don't have beef with them. I don't know them. They're just another name on the list.
You just want to hurt them.
Whatever. It's just another milestone, you know.
That's probably the most honest answer I've had.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I want to get in the cage. I don't care who's in front of me. They're gonna get violated. That's it.
I like that. You should have that on a t-shirt. So, where do you kind of see 22? Obviously, we're at the tail end of 2022, and obviously you've got a fight coming up, which obviously you're going to smash and go move on to the next thing. So, where do you kind of see yourself in like a year's time within MMA? Where do you kind of, when you daydream about that, where is Kate?
I don't daydream about it. You only dream when your eyes are closed. My eyes are always open. Joking. Okay. But next year, hopefully, I want to be more active than I've been, because obviously now that I'm pro, it should be easier to get fights than it was at amateur. So hopefully, I'll be able to climb up the ranks and, you know, enter the big ranks very soon. Hopefully, by the end of next year, I'll be closer to where I want to be. I'll be, you know, in the more like international big shows. I'll be able to create a name for myself internationally.
I think with answers like that, you're already gonna get a name for yourself for sure. For sure. Okay, so finally, I mean, obviously we touched upon you coming to GB Top Team and being with the female squad here, but tell me a little bit about how you find GB Top Team as a whole. Like, how have you found like the coaches and obviously the facilities we have here? Because I think that's kind of something that stands out to a lot of people, is that having a purpose-built facility. There's not a lot of places that kind of have that. How does that feel, kind of?
Okay, so let me start with facilities, because the sickest thing here is that sauna can be connected to Bluetooth and you can play music in there. Okay.
I legitimately thought this place was haunted at first, because I walked in, I was like, hello, and it was somebody had connected their phone and I hadn't even realised.
But I love that. But
I'm with you on that.
The facility is sick, honestly. Like it's probably the nicest, no, definitely the nicest gym I've trained at. It's got everything you need in one place, which like saves you a lot of time. And then what I really enjoy here is that you're surrounded by fighters. It's like, heaps and heaps of fighters who've got the same goals, similar dreams, similar drive. Because I've trained in some gyms where you don't really get that. You've got people who train because they love fighting, because they love training or whatever, but they're not serious. They don't really see the same vision you've got for yourself. Whereas here, kind of share it. Obviously, everyone's on a different path, but you support each other because you're all kind of trying to achieve your goals, whatever you've got in front of you. So it's so much easier to be surrounded by this energy, and it kind of uplifts you. And like when people cut weight, there's a bunch of you cutting weight for the same show or similar time. It just makes things easier. It's easier to stay motivated, And there's a nice big team. And then moving on to the coaches, obviously they're all highly experienced and they're all good credentials. They're all been where I want to be. So I want to be coached by people that have already been where I'm going, because what's the point being coached by people that never really achieved much, Like, what can they teach you if you achieved more than them?
I've never thought of it like that. It's almost like a fallacy that you're being trained by somebody that hasn't achieved what you aspire to be yourself.
Yeah.
So many quotes. I could make like a whole T-shirt range on the stuff that have gone through. Okay, best of luck for the show.
I don't need no luck.
We know we'll see you again. I will enjoy the violence and see how much violence 2023 brings us. But thank you very much.
It's going to be bloody.